Getting on the river?
Yeah, we spent all summer on the river looking for arrowheads.
Yeah,
What y'all doing?
I remember that.
Looking for arrowheads.
I remember that.
No crappie. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Agriculture Podcast. Today, we're in studio with Matt Lafont. Matt Lafont is a farmer from Southern Illinois. If you're familiar with my geography here, we're in the river region, in the lower Ohio Valley, start of the Mississippi Valley, of the lower Mississippi Valley, I should say, just a little south of the confluence, or a little north, I guess. And Matt is in the very far southern tip of Illinois, so by the way a crow flies, not very far from our shop. Just
No, not at all.
No, just probably 20 miles, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's a little bit more difficult to get there because of our river situation. You have to cross a couple rivers to get to where he's at, but we're close friends, hunting buddies. Just we bounce a lot of ideas off each other on the farm from day to day, and we're just going to talk a little bit about their operation, how he views agriculture, and we probably just talk about some random stuff too. So I'm gonna let Matt introduce himself, kind of tell you exactly where he farms, and a little bit about his family.
I'm Matt Lafont. Neil and I guess grew up knowing each other for a long time. Your dad, my dad, started farming. Well, your dad was down here farming. My dad started down here in a bandana with my uncle years ago, back in the 60s. And then ended up in Paris, Tennessee for a few years. And his dad bought a piece of ground in Massac County, Unionville, Illinois area back in 1972. And he moved up there and got started. Didn't have anything. I'm talking about nothing. And built a pretty good farming operation from scratch. I started planting there when I was 12 years old. This is my 41st crop that I put in. And I'll be 54 in the fall. But anyway, I've been on every one of them. You know, growing up when we were in our teens, getting out of high school, I said, man, I don't want to do this anymore. I've done this since I was a little bitty. I said, I want to do something else until I got off to college and kind of saw how the world was and decided that I like farming more than I thought I did.
So Matt, farm is located in Illinois, but he bleeds blue.
Yeah, I went to the University of Kentucky. I've got 5 children, 4 boys and a girl. My oldest son graduated from there 2 years ago, or at last spring of 23, and he's at Vanderbilt now. He's going to be a surgeon. And I got another one there right now that just got finished with his junior year. And I've got a senior at Tillman that's going there in the fall. So, yeah, we all bleed blue.
Yeah, UK family.
Yeah.
You Illinoisans, you think that Illinois ends before it actually does. So Matt's in the very far southern tip, right on the Ohio River.
Actually, I live in Kentucky. We live in Paducah. Not in the city, but right on the city limits, and about 12 miles from our shop. Our shop is, if you're familiar with Paducah, if you walk to the foot of Broadway there at the Carson Center and swam across the river, you're going to hit our farm.
Yeah. Matt's farm is right on the Ohio River.
Which is good and bad.
Good and bad. Yeah. We have a lot of river bottom experience here, and it's a different way to farm. Most people, I can't fathom the amount of difficulties. River can be a blessing and also a curse.
Yeah, it's been tough the last probably 10 years now.
Yeah, since 2017 or
my
so.
My mom passed away in 2014, and ever since she's been gone, we've had a lot of trouble with the river.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, like the first, the very first generation of these farms didn't struggle with the river like we do here in these generations that are current.
No, it's the river's a lot funnier now than what it was 10 or 15 years ago when you have a system that runs up the Ohio Valley, dumps 2-3 inches. Years ago, it affected the river a little bit, but now it'll make a massive jump, and it takes a lot longer for it to go back down, and we're battling it all the time.
Yeah, probably there's a myriad of causes like urbanization, where you have city drainage systems. You have the core not dredging our rivers.
Dikes. I didn't realize,
dikes
but
and dams.
that are basically making the channel narrower but faster, where the ships or the boats can get up and down through the river, but they're slowing that water flow down.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it doesn't take much.
Yeah.
One after another over time, it slows that water down and it backs up faster.
Yeah, we're in a geography here too where it's funny, but it rains in Tennessee and then it comes through Paducah, Kentucky,
That's right.
before it goes back south again.
Goes to the Kentucky Lake and they dump it out here on us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we get rain from all four directions.
Oh, yeah.
Here in this geography. So
We were down there planting the other day, and it's super. This spring's been super dry, and we planted some areas that we don't plant until usually July because they're so low, and we're dry, but see the river gauge and it's running up there, and I'm like, man, how's the river doing? Because it is dry as in Sarah. I mean, not just where we are, but a pretty broad area.
yeah, this whole geography is pretty dry.
We got a great stand, a great start on the crop. We're basically caught up to our wheat, which never happens. And but we've got a great start, but we are 190-degree week from burning up.
Yeah, that's the way it is here in Ballard. Like, I don't think I can ever remember a time when we can go almost straight through and plant the entire crop without a substantial
We
rain.
never have. And you farm several acres, so do we, and it just, it never happens. We're usually rolling in the wheat and running over ourselves trying to get the rest of the crop planted to the wheat field beans, and now we're just, heck, I was there today trying to figure out something for the guys to do because it's, we're sitting on go.
Yeah.
And I'm not complaining. I mean, I'd rather have every spring like this.
As long as it rains.
As long as it keeps raining, yeah. I mean, you don't want to get a good start like this and then watch it burn up. There's nothing worse.
No. I think 12 was a season similar to this where we, like I remember we had bought a new farm back here on the back of the place and we cleared it. And after we cleared it, I was plowing it. And it got pretty late in the winter, I guess you would say. But most of the time, you can't do tillage in this area.
No.
And I remember I was plowing and it was just like late fall or whatever. And then we went right from the plow to the, to the planter.
We had a little bit more rain here the last, say, couple of weeks than we did like in 12.
Yeah.
Which means nothing right now.
No, it doesn't. Because you're right, 90-degree weather just nullifies 2 or 3 tent rain.
Driving down here this morning, the crops here look like they do around us. And I went, my wife and I went this weekend with our daughter. She plays travel softball up at Collinsville, Illinois. And down 64, all the way basically to St. Louis. I didn't realize how wet it was up that area. They don't have anything done, nothing. It looks terrible.
Yeah. I think, a lot of the Midwest, upper Midwest especially.
Where it matters.
We're in drought early, and then they just started getting ransacked by front after front after. And they've been going a little to our north.
Yeah, that's right. Not too far, but yeah, they've been drifting north of us, but you can, the markets have told us that the last couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, we can see that there's, like it's forcing those traders out of those short positions now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a bad thing for those upper Midwestern farmers, but it definitely is a good thing for the market. They'll probably eventually get their crop put in.
They will. It doesn't take long. It just like us. I mean, and if we get behind, it doesn't take long now to plant the crop like it did 15 years ago, 20 years ago.
It is giving us some marketing opportunities, though.
Yeah, we've been plugging away at that too here lately.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about how what y'all like the way your farm is consistent. You're a lot of river bottoms.
Yeah, we farm around 7,000 acres, and of that 7,000, probably a little over 60%, 65% is river bottoms.
Yeah. So what, tell us about the river bottoms.
It's we call it two bottoms. There's two different soil types there. What my grandfather's ground is a tougher post oak clay. And it's actually where it is. It's further away from the river, but the ground that's right on the river is higher. It's kind of in a bowl the way the river backs in there, and it's a little bit tougher ground. We've got some irrigation there in those spots, not because of the sand, just because of that clay will not hold moisture in there when it starts getting really dry. And then down on the river, it's silty loam, really good dirt. Does not require near as much water, and plus you've basically got an underwater aquifer on it. I've seen years like in 12 when everything burns up and you go down there and you'll cut You'll be cutting 10, 15 bushel beans on the up ground, go down there and cut 45 or 50.
Yeah.
Just because of the location.
Yeah.
But I've also seen, like in 2015, we lost 2,500 acres down there to a 1st of July rise in the river. Had corn tossling, beans setting pods, and get smoked.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than that.
Yeah.
That's awful.
So it's an alluvion floodplain, and it has oxbow sloughs in it.
Got oxbow sloughs all over it.
Yeah. And so you'll have cypress and buckbrush, and
That's right.
Is there tupelo in that bottom?
Yeah, there's some
tupelo in there.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty unique looking area.
Yeah, it is.
I'd say most of the upper Midwest doesn't see something quite like that.
No, it's not like that.
It's more like it's almost like you're in the deep South kind of.
Yeah, if you're down in Mississippi or somewhere around the Delta, that's probably what it looks more
Yeah,
like.
that's kind of what it reminds me of,
And
like the Delta.
it's hard to explain to people when you tell them, say, yeah, the river, will be right here in this spot, will be 20 feet in the winter. Like, what? And it's a lot like the ocean.
Yeah.
The tide coming out, and that's what it reminds you of.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it could be that, but trust me. It looks like the ocean when it's up.
Yeah. So John's still very active part. So
He is.
John Lafont is Mr. John Lafont is Matt's dad,
Yep.
and he's still very active in the farm.
82, just turned 82.
82.
March 4th.
Yeah, still loves it,
Oh, yeah.
and he's wilder than a billy goat.
I can tell he's slowing down a little bit, but he's his mind's sharp.
Yeah,
Still sharp.
slow for John, still faster than most men.
Oh, he's faster than me. I'm like, man, how did I get that gene?
He's a fine Southern gentleman. He's
He's from South.
One of my mentors.
From the Boot Hill.
Yep, and you can tell it too.
Yeah. He's from the show. You got to show him.
Yeah, for sure. And Matt also farms with his brother Drew, who we're trying to get on here. He's like pinning down a cat.
Oh, he marches by the beat of his own drum.
That's for sure.
He keeps us all in stitches, though. I've got my son who's graduating now, and I love him all the same. But I'm gonna miss him. I laugh at that little dude every night, and I'm like, you and your uncle are two peas in a pod.
You got a son that's like
Oh, I'm telling you, probably worse.
It's a lot. The ladies like him as much.
Oh, probably more. They love him.
Yeah.
He's a mess. Oh, he's great.
Yeah.
They all are in their own way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, do you got any kids interested in farming?
That's something I've never done is push them into anything.
Yeah.
My wife and I I'm completely active, and we both are in everything that they do. They're all very athletic, play a lot of sports, do a lot of stuff with school. They're all very smart. And anytime we got a sporting event going on, usually I shut stuff down. I'm not missing it because one of these days I'm not going to have it there to go to, and I want them to know that I'm their biggest fan. But my oldest son wanted to, but I wouldn't let him because he's always wanted to be a doctor. And he goes to these cadaver labs, and he's been on several surgeries. And when he comes out, he's like a kid at Christmas. He won't shut up about it, and he's that's just what he was put on this earth to do, and he's going to be a good one. I think my second son, Max, who's taking business management right now and agronomy, I think that he's going to farm.
Yeah.
Because he showed a lot of interest in it the last year or so, and which he's helped me some at the farm this summer. They all work. He's got a job right now at UPS in Lexington. He's been working the last year there. Banks, my Drew Jr. He wants to be a investment guy. He's going to accounting and finance at UK. Rowan, my fourth son, he's 15. Still doesn't really know what he wants to do yet. He's got plenty of time. But my little girl loves it more than any of them. She reminds me of me. I mean, hey, Daddy, you go to the farm tomorrow. I'm going with you. And she dresses up in her bibs and her boots, and he's got a hat. And she asks such good questions. She rides with me and asks me about everything, what we're doing, planting or harvesting, and what's this do and why does it do it. And she tells her mom, Mama, me and Daddy are country. And my wife's like, if she winds up farming and another boys do, I'm going to choke you. Which she'd be fine with it, but she'd be really good at it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but you never know. I mean, gosh dang, she's 12.
Oh yeah. I mean, who knows what happens in this life?
You don't know.
No, you don't know.
But I'm not pushing anything on them. I want them to find their what. I want them to know. I mean, I want them working for other people besides me, and they all have. I want them to see life. I want you to figure out what you want to do. And hopefully the farm will always be here for you. We have 2 or 3 more years like we had the last 2 or 3 years. I don't know if it will be.
Yeah.
But, hopefully it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's in that same situation where it's been difficult the last.
We've had really good years. But
we have.
But there's nothing at the end. I mean,
yeah.
Last year was, I don't like talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody feels that pain.
Yeah.
You know, it's just part of agriculture right now. Like,
and it's any industry you do.
It is.
I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
You can be a doctor, lawyer, businessman. You're gonna have it's gonna be a roller coaster.
Yeah.
There's gonna be times you love it, and times you don't.
Yeah, there's challenges in every industry in this nation.
What doesn't break you makes you stronger.
That's right.
And it does.
Yeah, it does. And you come up with countermeasures and stuff. You
That's
know,
right.
You just roll with the punches. Yeah. That's all we can do.
A lot of things you learn are tough, but they're good.
Yeah. So, talk to everybody a little bit about like what a normal spring consists of. You are mostly wheat, corn, and soybeans there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like this year, we got a couple thousand acres of wheat. We'll harvest, hopefully, around 9,000 acres of crop this year, but 2,100 acres of wheat, something like that. Wheat crop looks really good.
Phenomenal.
Had a little bit go down the last couple of days, but I kind of like seeing that because it lets you know that it's going to be.
That's good wheat, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good wheat.
Yeah.
And we're corn, soybeans, and wheat. We'll usually raise 1,500 acres to 3,000 acres of corn, depending on the year, and a lot of soybeans, a lot of seed production for a few companies, and of course the wheat. And we'll get started for this crop this year. We'll start, and after the first year, we'll bring a planter in there, be it new or used or whatever, and we'll strip it completely down to the guts and start putting it together, and make sure each row's put together right. And you were in that next level program with Drew and I, and we learned. Man, I learned a lot.
I did too.
The year or two we were in it yet. Just like we're planting beans super, super early, and man, if you haven't ever done it, everybody should try a little bit every year, just a little bit. If you're planting in April, if you get the beans up and get them started, you're getting, now I'm talking about the first part of April, end of March, you're getting a 10 bushel plus yield right there advantage that's free.
Yeah.
Just because you're going to the field early, just because you're going to take advantage of the sunlight, early sunlight that the plant's getting. As far as the next level program and the getting the equipment ready, we'd always get a new planter and we'll just go to the field and plant. Well, they're not ready to plant. And get each row where it's planting like corn. We'd always want to start corn first. Now we don't. I mean, we waited, and this year I'm like, man, we should be planting corn before we planted. And Drew was just, no, the weather's not right. It's not right. When it got right, when he started planting, all of our corn has been up in 4 days.
Yeah.
Out of the ground.
Yeah.
I'm talking about spiking the way that Randy Dowdy likes you to check it. And of course, we still flag test, and you'd like to see every kernel up within 12 hours of each other. Well, this year, the first 3 spots I checked, we're dropping 34,000, and we would have 28 to 30,000, and within 4 hours, the rest of them are up. I was going to go back on the 12-hour check, but it's a really warm day. I'm like, I'm going to go check. In 4 hours, all of them are up. And the stands are, just like here, they're phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes such a difference. And
if you don't believe it, when you're out there flagging, get a different color flag after 12 hours, up to about 36, 48 hours. Flag it a different color, and then check it when it puts a ear on it. It'll blow your mind.
Yeah, it will. It'll make a believer out of
You'll be like, man, that planter, it's getting stripped every year.
For sure. That's one of the things I would always get before, and we talk about this here all the time on the podcast, is that group taught us a lot of valuable information. One of the things is don't plant corn. Well, the soil needs to be right.
That's right.
But the temperature needs to be right, too.
That's right. It's a lot less detrimental. It's more detrimental to corn planting it early because it's a warm weather plant, and you're a lot safer planting it later.
Yeah.
Used to, we think, man, we got to get that sucker going and get it up and get it pollinated before the 4th of July. You don't have to do that. No.
No, I agree. I mean, it's not like it's sunlight dependent. It needs sunlight, but not like soybeans need sunlight. Soybeans just really benefit from all that those super long days.
That's right. You got to have a little bit more treatment on the soybeans, but they benefit from all the sunlight, like you were saying. But it's that, and then the soils. Learning about the soils. Golly, when I was at UK, I wish I'd have studied soil science more than what I did.
Yeah.
But golly, just to get them right, certain ratios in the soil, once you get them right, it unlocks a gold mine.
It does. I mean, that's a big part of farming, I think, is it's one of those things that it just takes a lifetime. I guess you're a continual student, especially of soil science or whatever.
That's right. So you figure it like right now I'm in my 41st crop, and I still got a ton to learn.
Yeah.
If you're not making mistakes, you're not learning. I learn a lot.
Yeah.
And but I've still got a ton to learn, and hopefully I have 40 more crops. But odds are no.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not. I told the kids this morning on the way to school, they were talking about a funeral or something. And I said, well, you're only promised one thing in this life, and that is to die.
That's it. That's it.
They got totally silent.
I know it.
They thought about that for a minute.
Something nobody likes to talk about, but none of us getting off this rock alive, and you better enjoy every minute. And, something that my dad or my mom and dad were always good about telling us that they loved us. And, boy, my kids, my wife and I guess I'm bragging on her and I too, but they've always done that. I mean, I've been in the locker room with all of my sons that played football on their senior night, in front of everybody, telling them they love me, give me a kiss in front of all of them, like it wasn't embarrassed at all.
Yeah.
Tell them you love them.
Yeah.
Tell everybody you love them, because you might not be here tomorrow.
Might not.
You want them to know.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know sometimes they're like, Dad, you always say that. Well, I just want you to know, because one of these days I'm not going to be here to say it, and you'll miss it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think about that now with my dad getting older, and I can tell he's slowing down. And
yeah.
Anytime I go anywhere now, he says, oh, wait, I'll go ride with you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to miss it when he can't.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I took Casey Briggs and Barrett Brown and Zach Moen over to your shop back when they were here for the machine show, and they got to visit with Mr. John for a minute or whatever. Yeah. And it's we had an emotional moment in there or whatever. So
I'm a lot more emotional now than what I used to be.
Oh, no doubt.
I cry to drop a hat now.
For
Song
sure.
come on and say, you crying? I don't know what the hell's wrong with you.
that you just know in your spirit.
That's right.
Life is fleeting.
That's right.
So another thing is pretty cool to talk about is hunting. Matt is a phenomenal hunter, whitetail hunter, turkey hunter.
I was on one this morning. I thought I was going to thump him.
One of the coolest things about their geographical region, with the river bottoms, it's a very gamey area, but they also have the Shawnee National Forest that dips in around part of their farm. And
this morning.
so John and Stephen, which is John's brothers, one of their legacies is hunting. Mm-hmm. They passed it down to their sons, and that's one of the ways that Lafonts and I've become so close is through hunting. A good early part of my life, that's what I dedicated it to.
Used to go to Missouri every year turkey hunting.
For sure. That. Yeah. Well, there's the Mark Twain National Forest out there around Doniphan, Missouri. We used to go out there together.
It's been 20 years since we've been there.
It has.
We all went. The last time I went was with all of us together.
It was like in probably 2003 or 4.
It is early 2000. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's when it was. I was building my first house then.
Man, it doesn't seem like it's been that long.
And I never took any of my kids to that. That was something we always did when I was little. My dad would take me out of school for 3 days, for the first 3 days, to open in Missouri. And my friends were like, where are you going? Turkey hunting. There's no turkey in Kentucky at the time.
Yeah.
And they're like, turkey hunting? What's that? I said, man, you got to go. It's unreal. And I tell people there weren't turkey in Kentucky at that time. They're like, no way. I'm like,
no, there wasn't.
There was no hunting in Kentucky.
I remember I was about 15 or 16 years old, and I was right here in a bottoms just west of the shop, and I was riding my four-wheeler through the woods, and I saw 2 hen turkey, and I thought, well, those had to be a barnyard turkey or something. But it was just the 2 very first wild turkeys I'd ever seen in my life. There was no tom or anything. It was just 2 hen.
I know it.
You
People
know?
don't realize.
Yeah. Yeah, and now you look and there's turkeys in every field.
Everywhere. We were on, Uncle Steve and I were on one this morning, and I was watching the radar, and they weren't, of course, it's the last few days of season, and they're not saying a whole lot right now. And we finally got to the spot. I told him, I said, let's go this area. I hadn't been back there, but the first day of season, I went there and I messed with this bird. Should have killed him, but didn't do it. And as soon as we shut the door, he gobbled. And I said, that's the same spot where I was the first day. And I was watching that front this morning, and I said, we're going to get some help from this thunderstorm if we can get in there and get him in close. And so he answered me when I was walking in the woods, calling with a box call, wheezed up in the woods a little bit, sat down, and you hear boom, way off, and he'd gobble. And then boom, and finally, Wyatt, guy who works for us, super good young man, said, I don't know if you're hunting right now. He said, but if you are, you better take cover. And I said, golly. So we got up, went to the truck, kind of rolled back around where we knew he was, and there was a field there. I said, he's out in that field, so I kind of went up this ridge to look. Well, he wasn't in the field, and it thundered, and when he gobbled, he was right where we just left. I said, Wyatt, if you wouldn't have texted me, I'd have still been sitting in there, and probably thumped him, but...
That's a typical turkey, though.
But it's. I have a good every morning, and now as you get older, I don't care if I kill them or not. Just getting them in there close and listening to them what they do in the woods.
Yeah,
it's good enough.
That it is. To me, that's the best part of it.
Oh yeah, I'd rather take the kids now. I mean, I 1,000 to 1 rather watch them
for
shoot
sure
one now because to see the thrill and excitement in their eyes is great.
Yeah. So talk about whitetail hunting a little bit. Matt is a super successful whitetail hunter. How many deer you have above 150?
I don't know. I've got a few. I've done pretty good the last few years. Been blessed. Probably not as blessed as my brother. My brother's a whitetail machine. He's killed some big ones.
He has. I've been with him on a couple of them.
Yeah, you have.
It'll make you fake happy. They're so big.
And he's persistent, but
he is. I always considered myself a good whitetail hunter until I got around Dre.
He's tough. But the last 3 or 4 years, I've killed a good deer. I think every year, maybe even more than that. I've been lucky. Luck's a lot of it. I mean, you got to put yourself in the right place to be lucky.
You do.
But over time and learning spots to hunt, and we don't shoot young deer. I mean, the deer that I killed this year was one that Drew passed last year, and he really didn't know if he wanted to shoot him this year because he was 6.5 and didn't look like he grew much. I mean, he hadn't really grown much the last 2 or 3 years, and we figured this is what he was going to be. So actually, my oldest son, Cannon, came in from Vandy, and I was wanting him to shoot him with a bow, so I was filming him, and we were in a spot, and he came out and couldn't get a good shot on him to the shooting house we were in. He had to lean way back, and I said, "You think you can make that shot?" And he said, "Yeah." And he shot, and thought he shot under him, and he just kind of clipped him a little bit. Well, we got cameras set up everywhere, and we picked him up the next morning. You can see he had just a little bit of scrape under his belly because he walked right by this one camera, right in front of it, where you can just get a good look at everything. And so he kind of disappeared about a week or two later, and Cannon couldn't come back and hunt anymore. And then he texted me late one night. We called him Splits. He said, Splits showed up again. We're afraid he might have got an infection and died.
Yeah.
And he was right there where he missed him. I said, golly, can you come in and hunt? He said, no, you go kill him. I said, every time you say that, I usually do.
Hey, yeah.
He said, go down this afternoon. So I did, and he came right out, and I made a good shot. He didn't go far.
Yeah.
He was a good deer.
Yeah.
Really good deer. But there's nothing that gets your blood or gets you on a high as a whitetail. A turkey is great, but it won't get you to, like, if you get a deer in there with a bow, you gotta get yourself together.
Yeah, you're wound up.
Oh, if it's a good one.
Yeah, if it's a good one.
And there's a difference. You'll know. I mean, my kids are like, how do you know? I said, won't anybody have to tell you? When you feel like your heart's going to beat out of your chest, and there's no doubt in your mind, you know. If you question, don't shoot them.
Yeah, I think that is the best way to tell somebody, like, when a true monster is in, like when one of those monarchs is in your area, you know it, because there's, like, when he walks in there on you, there's no guesswork.
If I'm praying to myself immediately when I see him, please, Lord, let me have enough calmness about me to make a good shot on this, I know he's a good one.
Yeah.
And if they don't do that to you, It's not good.
No, you'll always be disappointed when you walk up on them.
You'll be like, that's not the deer I shot.
Yeah.
I've done that a couple times.
Yeah, I have too. Sometimes get too excited. I remember I was in. This is I don't know how many years ago. This was in the early 2000s, but I'd been to the bow zone in Canada and around Edmonton a few times and killed some pretty good deer up there. And I don't know. It's probably the fifth or sixth season I'd been up there in a row, and killed some really great whitetails. And I rattled a deer in, and I'd just seen him like a monarch of a deer earlier that morning, probably around 7 or 8 that morning, just right at daylight. And this was more like the 11 o'clock in the day.
Yeah.
And I was in a really thick red willow thicket. Couldn't see anything about 20 yards around me, and I rattled. And a deer just come busting in there, and I could hear him coming like,
Oh, yeah.
and I was at full draw. Just, and I was thinking I'd seen this, 180-inch deer earlier that morning. It's definitely him, and as soon as he popped out, I didn't even look. I just stroked him. And
mistake.
Rob Kincaid, who's one of my great friends from Idaho, was there with me.
Yeah.
I texted him. He was on the neighboring farm. I said, BBD, big buck down or whatever. And he's like, oh, is he down? And I was like, for sure, because I heard him fall in the willow or whatever. Rob comes over there. He's like, how big is it? I was like, well, if it's the deer I saw earlier this morning, biggest one I've ever killed. We walked up on him, it was about 126. And I never lived that one down.
Oh, I guarantee you. Oh, 126.
He never even came. His meat came out of Canada, but his horn stayed.
Y'all can decorate him over your door going into the outhouse.
The outfitter I was with was one of my great friends, and he said, well, I'm going to leave this one here for all the hunters to know. This is the one you get a fine if you kill. That'll shrink your pride right there.
Oh, my gosh. Hey, if you hunt long enough, we've all been there. You did it.
Yeah, for sure. It's just part of hunting.
That's it.
You're going to have some disappointments.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a great hunting story.
Yeah. All of my kids, not all of them like to hunt. I got a couple that are, one of Rowan's just now starting to get into it. He didn't really like it at first, and Max still, he'll go some, but he didn't care if he does or doesn't.
Yeah.
My daughter loves it. My oldest one loves it, and Drew Jr. likes it a lot.
Yeah, it's one of them things. It's not for everybody.
No.
Like
it's fine if you don't like it.
Yeah.
100%. I don't care. It's fine.
Yeah. Some people don't have the patience. Some people don't like mosquitoes and ticks, and
Yeah, that's right.
and you're never comfortable when you're hunting, really.
I like being out there, and I don't enjoy it like I used to when I was young, because as you get older, you get more responsibility and you start thinking about stuff that you need to be doing. But if you can ever get away, like during deer season, and just completely get away and leave everything at work, just reflect on everything, it's it's a great experience.
Yeah. For me, it was always, like I've taken up other things later in my life that feel that, like when you just get so stressed on the farm, you can't handle it anymore.
Yeah.
And that's just part of farming. You're gonna have times where you're just beat down mentally. That was always my escape.
Oh, me too. Yeah. But now with me, it's more so sports. We're traveling everywhere, doing all kinds of sports, and I really enjoy that. Banks was our last football player, and man, Friday nights, I'm going to miss that. He was a really good football player. Could have played college ball, but like Cannon could have too. They're both like, I'm not going to do it. Know what I want to do, and can't play college where I want to play. So
Yeah.
my little girl's the next one up, and she's fun to watch. That's my escape now.
Softball player, is it?
Well, softball, volleyball, basketball,
Plays a little bit of everything.
tennis. Yeah, she's good at all. We're gonna have to start eliminating some stuff here in the next couple of years, but I'm not doing it yet.
Yeah.
I had a couple coaches that are like, she needs to kind of trim it down. I'm like, she's not gonna do it yet. She's 12.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you just let them play.
I want her to
They'll
do
find their
what
true
she wants
love
to do, and she'll find what she wants to do.
for sure. Yeah. I think that's the great route to take for a child, because they don't know yet,
I don't
so
have a clue.
they got to try everything, and they'll find their true love as they
That's right.
go.
Yeah, that's right. You got plenty of time. That's what I tell, even like Max was trying to decide, we've talked a few times what he wants to do, and he said, I'm just not 100% sure. I said, it's fine. You don't have to know exactly what you want to do, and college isn't for everybody. I don't want them to go to college just to go to college, but there's some things college teaches you that are good too.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have a doctorate or a lawyer or your engineering degree, there's still a lot of good things that college teaches you.
It does. I mean, if nothing else, it teaches you responsibility.
They can shorten it up about half.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, but the responsibility that you have to learn to get yourself up, to get yourself to class,
and we
to
know
make
that
sure you're studied. And
my wife is so good at she stays on them, and she's on them all the time, and she's great about, listen, I want this a certain way. I want this house a certain way. I want everything cleaned up. Because when you leave here, I want you to be able to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And you think they're not listening, but when you get up to where they live now and they live by themselves, I'm like, man, you ain't never kept a place this clean ever in your life.
Yeah.
They don't like anything dirty, and I'm like, man, what happened to every single day and night I'm hearing her on your end? And then I back her up, and I'm like, well, it's different when you're on your own. I said, it is?
Yeah.
It is different.
Yeah, you're right. I was listening to, I watch a bunch of different people on social media, and Tony from Growing Corn, he's also in Illinois, and he was talking the other day about, the kids now don't know how to do anything, but he said that his son, he said, you call it whatever you want, but halfway, just let him trial and error.
That's right.
And he said, hey, I want him to be up once he's away from me. I'm not always going to be able to be here.
That's right.
And I want him to be able to know how to, problem solve.
That's right.
And do hard things on his own.
That's right.
And, it's made his son, as a young man, very successful,
It's something to that. Banks had a headlight out the other day, and he said, well, I'll take it when I get my oil changed and get it fixed. No, let's go get a headlight. I mean, we changed the battery for us. It's nothing to it. So we got in the garage. He liked that kind of stuff anyway. He said, man, that's easy. I was like, you can fix a lot of things yourself before you have to get somebody else to do it. You got the freaking phone now on Google. You can just about do whatever you want. I fixed the dryer here not long ago that I never would have attempted before without Google.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the great thing about social media and the internet is, if you want to learn how to do something, you can learn how to do it on your own.
That's right.
You don't have to have fancy training or anything.
No.
There's people that have showed you how to even rebuild a motor if you wanted to.
That's right. 100%.
Yeah. You got to take advantage of the tools that you're given.
Oh, we've got a lot of great tools right now.
Yeah. We didn't have access to the information that we had when we started this farming career. So
no, because when we started, and I was talking to somebody about that yesterday, and really didn't know how nice it was to kiss your wife goodbye and said, I'll see you when I get home. There's no contacting me.
Yeah.
If you need to get a hold of me, you have to come over and try to find me.
Yeah.
And now you can't get away from it.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing how much it's changed, really, like the technology part of farming.
Yeah, it is.
Used to, everything moves so slow. And now, I can always remember as kids and even into my early adulthood, all the farming would stop at lunch and we'd go find a shade tree and all eat together. And
that's right. And we'd work all day long, and I'm talking about work all day long, and we're planting 100 acres.
Yeah.
Well, if I don't have 100 acres planted in the first 2 or 3 hours, I'm starting to get madder than a hornet.
Oh, for sure. Like there's something egregious happening or whatever.
We'll have 3 planters running, and how many acres y'all get planted today? We had a pretty good day. We planted 600-700 acres.
Yeah.
Shoot, that was a good week.
Oh, for sure.
A few years
ago.
Like
if you'd have told Matt and I 20 years ago that we was getting 600 or 700 acres planted a day, I'd have told you he's crazy.
Oh yeah,
or lied.
I know it. There's no way.
Yeah,
but it's technology. It's got its ups and downs, but it's got more good than bad.
It does. It's really amazing how fast now. That does, I think, help with the stress some is when the equipment is really running good and you have a really good long day where you don't have rain threatening or something. It's amazing what you can accomplish.
When it's not running good, if you were following me with this get up right here, there'll be a lot of beep going on.
I think that happens to all of us.
Oh, because I tend to kind of get anxious.
Yeah. The other day, I had one of them lift valves on my planter blow up. I liked about 50 acres having all the corn planted, and this rain was coming in ahead of that. It was this past Sunday, actually. And I had a liquid trailer that I couldn't get the valve closed on, and I crawled under there and was working on it or whatever, and then I raised up and hit my head on the corner of the trailer.
I do that a lot.
I'm glad somebody wouldn't follow me with a microphone. They'd have thought Braveheart was right there close.
I'll do that. Turn around. I'm like, yeah, I'm not. Oh. If I was about 10 years younger, it's not going to do anything to you, but I'd be wearing you out.
It kind of sounded like freedom, only another.
Yeah. I was planting last Thursday, and I like 13 acres being done in the spot. I was 40 miles from the shop. Nobody's up there with me, and I try to keep everything with me, but it always happens. And on that Exact-Emerge planter, it's got what I call a finger in front of that brush meter that kind of protects it as it's sliding through that V. I had one of my units stop up. When one of them stops, it'll stop the whole planter. I was like, God bless, I better know what it is. I got off and went back there. Of course, that's what it was. And you got to pull the gauge wheel and double disc off to get to it. And I'm like, I don't have another one to fix it. And I'm not going back to the shop and get it and come back up here this afternoon. And I got to drive 5 miles to where my truck is. And I wanted to get mad. I'm like, it's not going to help anything. So I just folded it up, drove it over there, parked it, went home. And I get back and Dad said, did you finish? I was like, nope. What happened? I told him. You didn't have another one, did you? I was like, nope. But I will tomorrow. And my truck's got 2 in it, and the toolbox service truck's got 2, and then I put 2 in Drew's planter. And I'm like... And I went back up there the next morning and finished it.
Yeah.
But that happens.
It does. It's always funny, like, if you're, especially if you're trying to finish up or something.
Oh, it's just like when I built houses for a while, too. And the hardest part, I don't care what it is finishing.
Finishing.
Doesn't matter what it is. The hardest part's, we're almost done. We're not going to get done as soon as you think we are. I promise. Something's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Always does.
It's going to fight you to the end. It's funny. I was talking about that yesterday, and like things can go completely smooth, and that's how. Like we've had a really smooth planting season here, other than a few little small rains that have kept us out 12 hours or something. We've just gone right through it, hardly any problems. And I get down to the last 50 acres, and it seems like
can't finish.
I mean, one thing after another was happening,
Can't finish.
And I was telling Logan, I said it just tries you to see if you'll give up or not.
That's right.
It wants you to give up, not be able to accomplish your goal.
That's right.
But
when you accomplish your goal, it doesn't matter what it is, if it's in farming or in business or in your workouts, if you're whatever. When you accomplish it, man, you feel good.
You do.
There's something to it.
That's confidence building.
That's right.
100%.
Don't ever, my wife and I have always instilled that in our kids. We don't quit. So when we start something, when you start it, man, I don't really like this. You started it, and guess what? We're staying with it.
Yeah.
We don't quit.
Yeah.
Because it teaches you something. There's so many people today in this time, I'll quit or move to a different team or, whatever it is. You don't have to finish it. No, we're finishing. When times get tough, you got to get tougher.
That's right.
They're not quitting.
That's the thing about farming. I think that if you are a very successful farmer, you've learned that lesson time and time again,
right.
that it's going to try you to the end.
Right.
And if you're willing to kick the door in and go ahead and finish,
Yep.
And strong, it builds your confidence over and over and over and over. And then when things are really tough, like we've encountered here in the last couple of years, even though like there's been a million times, I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yep.
But that instillment of that exact thing keeps you going.
Oh, that's right, 100%.
And I always think there's like in life, that like for not quitting, you'll get paid back for that.
You will. I agree with that 100%. I think that wholeheartedly. Yeah. It will definitely teach you something, and it'll make you harder nosed and more resilient when something else comes back up.
Yeah.
Because something always inevitably will always come back up.
Yeah. I hear a lot of like corporate folks talk about like when they see a farmer kid come in to, a job interview or whatever, they look at them, as tested by fire somewhat,
That's right.
Like they love to hire those kids, because they have been put through the ringer some.
That's right.
Especially if they've grown up on the farm.
That's right.
Through some of those tribulations and stuff and seen their parents go through it.
And you all, I think you're and your dad and your operation is great, and I'd strive to be more like you. And there's a couple others I think that are like you, and it's not easy doing what we do the way we do it. When I coach football, I always tell the players it's easy to be average. I don't want to coach average. I don't want to be average in this. I like to win, and it's not a competition that's per se, but there's certain things to me that always are. I like to keep it. Everything's a game.
Yeah,
I've done that with all kids my whole life. That's just the way I am, and but time and attention to detail, and being persistent will get you a long way.
yeah. I mean, I think that we're like our operations. We don't have to compete in the same geographies.
No, and they emulate each other a lot.
Yeah, but they do. Like I call Matt. Like when I have questions about things I know that he's encountered in his, and
same.
we farm very similar ways.
Oh, yeah.
It makes us both better.
Just like this year, we're talking about corn, and you and I discussed last year, at the end of last year, we both had really good crops. But at the end of the year, it wasn't there.
Yeah.
And it's just because we gotten into a rut of not paying as close attention as what we did probably 10 or 15 years ago and watching every little thing. And so I backed up this spring and I said, we're going to do things different. We're going back to the way Daddy used to do it. I got the pencil out, met with a bunch of vendors. I said, I want to know what everything costs. And I'm going to know before we go to the field, all right, this is my first plan. This is the backup. This is if all else fails.
Yeah.
And then you and I talked and said, how much corn are you going to raise? Well, not much. Well, my dad didn't want to raise any, but I always want to raise some.
Yeah.
But backed off the acres on that because of the fertilizer prices. And man, there's a lot that goes into corn that people do not figure. I mean, you've got extra hauling. You got to have extra labor. Your wear and tear on your equipment, your drying costs. There is a lot of unseen variables there that people do not talk about or pencil in when they're talking about raising a corn crop.
Yeah, I think you miss it almost. You
Yeah.
don't realize that.
That's right.
Like when you're just breaking down, like if you're just breaking down gross revenue to begin with, and you just look at like your inputs you've put into it versus the revenue you can receive off of it. You don't sit there and pencil in electricity
No.
and driving time and
No.
tires on your truck
No.
and you're right, wear and tear where your machines are running longer in the field,
right.
longer hours.
You're going to spend more on when you're done. Like you go through your equipment just like we do, and you're going to have some more bearings and some more augers and
Yep.
some more belts and chains. And we'll just put that on there. Well, let me tell you something. It's just like everything else today. Everything's expensive.
It is.
And it costs a lot more to raise it than what it used to.
Like just grain bin blowers around here. I mean, we go through those things like water.
I know.
And it's $2,500 a pop.
We got to go through our drying system right now is 10 years old, and we got to get a crane in there and put new motors on everything up top. Well, they recommend rebuilding them because the bearings are starting to growl. So we're going to put new motors in and rebuild those for backups. And but it ain't going to be cheap.
Yeah.
I mean, it's we said, all right, we're not buying anything this year. I mean, equipment-wise, we're in good shape. If we didn't buy a piece of equipment for 10 years, we'd be in good shape. John Deere wouldn't like it, but I don't really care. But, but this spring, so we're working. We got a backhoe that's 20 years old. Good shape. We've taken good care of it, and it blew up in the field. I'm like, gosh, dang it. So we bought a new backhoe here the other day, and there's several $1,000s that I wouldn't plan on spending, but inevitably that's what happens every year.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Oh, it is. I mean, you can think you have, and that's the thing about farming is you can think you have everything planned out until it didn't.
No.
And it is in operations this size. I mean, there's certain tools that you just
Gotta have.
You have to have them. There's
right.
no choice. You can't get around it.
That's right. And we've eliminated a lot of stuff over the years. We're pretty much, we don't have a lot of extra equipment sitting around. Everything we got gets used.
Yeah.
And we do pretty good with what we have for the acres that we're getting over. We could handle a little bit more with what we got, but when it comes time to get something done, we can get it done pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah. If, I think that's right. Like you want to be set up to where if the worst case scenario did happen, you could still get the crop in a timely manner.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And so, yeah, they're you look at all I hear people say one of the, I see the trolls on the internet all the time. Why you need all that big equipment? Well, go try to put in a humongous crop without big equipment and see,
Dude.
why you would buy it too.
There's some stuff that I wish we didn't have to have. There's
Yeah.
some stuff that we have to do in the river bottoms that and you don't have to do that. I wish we have to have a few other pieces of equipment that you don't have and I wish we didn't have to do that, but we do. It's the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's just
No way around it.
You're right. I mean, you got to be able to get the crop in timely for it to be good.
That's right.
And you got to have the right equipment to get your seed beds or your whatever situation you're in done right
fertilizing,
in a timely
that's right.
manner.
Sprayed, whatever it is. Yeah.
Whatever it is. Yeah, because at the end of the day, if you're not timely about it, well, it's cost you money.
A lot.
A lot. It could
Soybeans, a lot.
Could be more than a payment could ever.
Oh, yeah.
Or could be 3 or 4 payments.
That's right.
And if you'd have just spent the money on the front end, you'd have had that money in your coffer and then deciding what to do with it.
Yeah, I know it. That's true. That's true. So what are your thoughts on the long-term outlook of farming?
It's easy to get really down on it.
Yeah. I try to never be a negative Nancy. I'm always a glasses half full guy.
I had to do a presentation to a group of growers back during the winter at one of the commodity shows, and I had a slideshow, and it was just about leadership in farming. Mm-hmm. And I didn't tell Matt I was going to do it, but he had been out here at the farm when Clayton, my business partner, was here, and Clayton had shot some really cool shots of Matt, and I used some of those shots, and then I talked about in leadership, one of the things that I've learned from Matt, and I'm an optimist, or I've always considered myself to be an optimist, but I've always admired Matt because of his optimism and his ability to think positively, and I think a lot of times when you are willing to think positive and be optimistic into situations, it can bring you out of situations because your mind's powerful.
See, I think the same about Neil, and I don't like being around because in this industry, there's a lot of farmers you get around, and I don't care. It could be everything's roses and it's doom and gloom.
Yeah.
I don't want to be around that.
Yeah.
I want to be. There's no point in it. There's no point in being down and everything's doom and gloom because it's not doing you any good. It's not doing anybody else around you any good. It's not good for your health.
Yeah.
I don't take any of that home.
Yeah.
I try not to take any work home anyway. But I'm always try for the most part smiling, and I've always got to, you can always find something that's good. I don't care, even in a drought or a flood or whatever. There's always something you can find that's good.
There is, and it everything's a learning situation too. Yeah. You can learn things through those droughts that you can take throughout your career that 100%. Are beneficial, and there's ways to make money in a drought too.
I can tell you right now, and I don't want to have a drought, but some of the best ROI years we've ever had is during the drought.
Same here. You don't spend any money on equipment or labor.
It gets to a certain point, you're like, that's it, boys. We're locking up shop, and let's just see what happens.
Yeah, look for arrowheads. That's what, in 12, that me and Drew were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah. Getting on the river?
Yeah, we spent all summer on the river looking for arrowheads. What y'all doing?
I remember that.
Looking for arrowheads.
I remember that.
No cropping.
No, boy, we had a good arrowhead year. Guess what, too? We had a pretty good year at the bank.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was. Like, one of our best ROI years was 12.
Ours, too.
So,
and you hate that because there's nothing more satisfying as a farmer to get on the combine and harvest a good crop, and have a good year. But there's times, that you harvest a good crop, and at the end of the day, it ain't all.
I think last year was the best example, or on this place, it was the best example of it, where you just have a phenomenal year bushels wise.
Yeah.
And even though a lot of it was pre-sold here, just the amount of expenses we had just brutalized us.
We did good marketing.
Yeah.
And it made us sit down and look and say, okay, we've been doing some stuff with deer over the last several years and rolling stuff every 3 years or so, and I'm like, we don't have to do that. We didn't do it before. We've just been fortunate enough where we could do it the last few years, but we're going to trim some fat.
Yeah.
Because that's not happening again.
Yeah.
And but it just kind of opens your eyes up to stuff that you get complacent on. You just don't look. Just like I was talking about earlier, is figuring up a crop plan before you ever start. Man, I used to do that all the time. I bet the last 5 to 10 years, I've just been rolling with it.
Well, there hadn't been a lot of need for it
No.
because it's just been
That's
so
right.
good here.
That's right.
We've been extremely blessed
That's right.
in the last decade with
We have been.
phenomenal crops and decent. I mean, not great prices, but enough.
Couple
good,
times we have.
Yeah, good enough prices that we could, that we had wiggle room to be able to buy land or make trades
That's
or
right.
whatever it
That's
is.
right.
And then, boy, all the brakes got thrown on that with the difficult weather and then the the
Input.
inputs just spiked, and then the grain
Everybody
market.
understands that now. Though.
Yeah,
You
sure.
go to the grocery store.
Yeah,
We went to Mass. It's been a month or so ago, and then after Mass, we went to Sam's and then to Walmart. Well, the Sam's trip was $900 something, and I about fell out. And Abby's like, "Yeah, you know what I go through."
yeah.
And then went to Walmart. And when we got home, I want to throw up.
Oh, I know it.
But it's everything.
Yeah, try eating out every night.
Oh my gosh.
That's what Annie was. I helped her bring the groceries in yesterday or whatever, and I was like, "Good grief!" And she's like, "Yeah, try to feed your." She's like, "This is what I go through every week.
I know
bringing in all these groceries." And
So I mean, we've got which now at home there's 5 of us, but we've always got 1 or 2 extras. Our house is always full, doors always open, and Abby cooks a lot. And I'm telling you, it takes a lot.
It does.
I don't know how some people do it.
I mean, I know it's so difficult out there for people, just making ends meet.
That's right.
It's not just on the farm. It's just
No.
countrywide.
That's right.
But talking about, the optimism or pessimism in the coming years, I'm actually optimistic for the agriculture. I feel like, at the end of the day, everybody's got to eat. And we got a huge world, and I know it looks, it looks very bleak in the short term. And, I do think we'll have a couple of difficult years here, but I do feel like that there is hope on the horizon from, I think diversification is going to be part of it,
Yeah.
But I think, like if we can get this, if soy diesel or biodiesel really takes off and gets off the West Coast and comes into the entire country,
Right.
where in this geography, we're energy farmers, a lot of our grains go into the energy sector
Right.
anyway. But if we get a lot of the nation's grain, minus what's going to feed, going directly into energy in the form of biodiesel, I think there's a humongous opportunity for us.
I do too. We've got a gluttony of grain right now worldwide, but 20 years ago, if you'd had this amount of grain carry over, it'd take you 5-10 years minimum to go through it. Well, now you can do it 1 year.
Yeah,
Just because the world popped where it is now versus where it was even 20 years ago.
yeah,
And it just takes more for everybody, and there's not any more land anywhere.
yeah.
I mean, I know they're trying to clear more in Brazil, but that's
It's minimal compared to the amount of people we have.
it. You can't. It's about at the end of its
Yeah.
stick.
Well, you see where, like just we've had these storms hitting the Midwest, flooding in Rio de Sul, frost event in Russia, and the grain markets go bananas.
I know it. Yeah, Argentina right now, I was watching a video of guys cutting soybeans and they're cutting half the plant, getting a lot of water into the platform, and that grain coming in is wet soybeans, and they're losing a lot of yield just because it won't quit raining there, and they're just trying to get something.
Yeah, just trying to get something out of it.
And they had a good crop.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they had a phenomenal crop, really.
But it's not. It ain't going to end that way.
Rio de Sul is pretty flat, and so the water can't get off of them, and I think they had 14 inches in one event or something like that. So right in the middle of harvest, my heart goes out to them.
Yeah, and then Brazil, it's their safrinha crop and their second crop, which is a corn crop, and they can't get it in because it's too dry.
Yeah.
It's a dry season.
Yeah. Yeah, so... But that just goes to show you like how there is no positive news in the grain market, coming into these weather events, and like the weather events start, and you see, those traders feel that pressure. And
Did you sell any wheat yesterday?
I've almost sold out of wheat, so
I sold some yesterday. I saw my phone flashed there, and it was like 6:32. And I was like, I text Brian. I said, sell some.
yeah.
And we've still got a lot to sell.
I
hope.
I had probably got to the point when we were having them frost events. I'd got to the uncomfortable spot of Man, I booked way too much weight. And but then when I kind of had market alert on my phone. When market hit $6, I sold another big slug of it, and I've still got a little bit to sell. But
I don't think we've got probably a 30% crop sold right now. I need to be getting with it. I don't know what I'm waiting on.
I thought I was watching that wheat rally. Like it was last July during our.
That's right.
I was in Idaho actually, and we had a 10-inch rain event here.
Yeah.
And that very same day of that big rain event, the markets were just rallying hard, and I sold real heavy into that rally or whatever.
Yep, we sold a little bit then too. It was in the sevens, like 740 something.
Yeah. And then we get into these frost situations. I'm like, man, I don't know if I should have sold all that. But it looks like it's worked out for me. Like I think, I
don't think that frost, the last cold snap we had, I've been feeling the heads, and grain's big.
It is, and it's already in milk.
Yeah.
Or
well, you can see it. It's starting to get that kind of brownish look to the top of the head. So we're not far from starting to turn.
No, this bottom's here to my north here is turning already, which would be our very first wheat we've planted.
We got some too, which we've got what I call a mid-season wheat that Agrimax. Most of ours is 505, and it's not early, but it's not late. It's kind of mid-range.
Yeah,
but it'll still be probably 6th to the 10th, somewhere around there. I'd say June when we get started.
Yeah,
I bet.
I wouldn't doubt it either. By the time everything, you think the crop's going to be early, and it may be a few days early, but I would bet. I think it's supposed to cool off again here next week and drop abnormally cool.
Right.
That's going to slow us down some.
Which is, I'm telling you, we've grain filling wheat. You could not have drawn up a better grain fill.
You couldn't have made, like if you'd have wrote God's plan for him.
Yeah.
It would have been the perfect wheat plan.
The 2012 drought year was a really good wheat crop, but it was hot the whole time.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any, once it stopped, it stopped.
Yeah.
Because I remember I hated coming to work every once. God, it's so dry. It's never going to freaking rain. And, but it's cooler this year.
It is. We had our bloom period, a lot of times it was wet and warm, and this time it was cool and dry.
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest parts of the wheat crop is having a really successful wheat crop is having that period cool and dry.
Yeah.
Well, you couldn't have picked a better week for it to bloom.
Same way with corn.
Yeah.
Oh, if you have weather like this when corn's pollinating and starting to get some grain fill.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, kitty bar the door.
Oh.
Blow the bin lid off.
Better make sure your rubber's good on your semis.
For sure. You fix to burn them down.
That's for sure.
Well, we've reached an hour, so
Dang, that went fast.
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I did.
So I had to bend Matt's fingers back to get him here, but I hope he's a normal guest with us.
Oh, I will be.
Yeah, you enjoy
have
it.
me back, and we'll talk about something else.
Yeah. I'm going to try to get his brother on here too. Maybe we'll all three do one together.
That'd be a good one.
Yeah. You want to hear some of our LBL fiascos?
Hey, I had one this year. Did he tell you about me? I got a video of it. So Uncle Steve and I were up there, and Drew saw that I was wearing rubber boots. He said, "You wearing rubber boots?" I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "There's rattlesnakes everywhere," and he killed a big one up there several years ago. I'm like, "Yeah, I ain't worried about them." Well, we were in an area, thank goodness it had been burnt, and messing with this bird, and I could tell he wasn't going to come in, and I need to get out of there, so I kind of walked up behind him and knelt down, because there's no leaves on the ground. They burned it 2 or 3 weeks before. And as I'm sitting there talking to him, I hear, I knew immediately what it was. And I just kind of jumped out toward where he was. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "It's a rattlesnake." I said, "You don't hear him?" He's like, "No." I was like, I jumped up. I said, "Where is that sucker?" So there he is. He's right there by where I knelt down. He's all balled up like this. He's, I went straight to shoot and got me some snake boots. My buddy goes, "Didn't you shoot him?" I was like, "No, man, there's a turkey in there. I want to go in there next morning. I'm going to kill that bird." He's like, "Are you nuts?" I said, "I'm killing that turkey, that snake." And I stuck it. It was kind of cool that morning. I stuck a stick down there, and he didn't really strike at it. And I was like, "All right, you let me go. I'm going to let you go."
Yeah.
But I'm not scared of him. But I don't care if you don't know anything about snakes. When you hear that, you know immediately.
That's one of them sounds you don't have to hear before to know exactly.
You don't have to hear it before.
There's something
that triggers your mind. You're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
I knew immediately.
I sat down on a tree up there one year, and I heard one, and I was like, "Man, where is he at?" And I got up, because I'm like, did I set on him or whatever, And peeked around behind the tree, and the tree was rotten, and he was in that rotten hole on the backside, just sitting on a bed of like mulch that had fell in on that stump. It wasn't a very big one, but
Yeah.
I mean, it gives you the heebie-jeebies just to
This
hear
is
it.
about probably 3 feet long. He's big enough.
Big enough.
Big enough.
Yeah, if they're rattling, they're big enough.
Yeah, and you can hear it.
Yeah.
You didn't. You can hear it really good.
Yeah,
But anyway, yeah, the LBL stores. There's a bunch of them.
they are. Well, thanks for joining us, Matt.
Enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to the Agriculture Podcast. Like, share, and subscribe.